Preparing on the ground. When ground handling, the choice of equipment is very important, as when flying. The correct shoes, outdoor clothing, gloves and helmet. It is often best to take the same equipment as used when flying. Familiarity with your equipment and the correct way to adjust it is also important. As when flying, the pilot should dress and fit all equipment ready to go before spreading the canopy out and blocking the launch site. Overall, gloves, harness and helmet. Then the canopy can leave its bag. If the wind is strong, then the ears should be left folded in to help prevent it from being blown away. Using the rear risers or brake lines, all line tangles should be sorted out before the pilot connects his harness. Sometimes it's helpful to pull the middle A-lines a little to ensure everything is tangle-free. Harness connection methods. There are two possibilities for connecting the harness to the canopy. Normally the canopy is connected so the pilot flies forwards and then the pilot turns to face the canopy. If you want to turn over your right shoulder to take off, then you should turn to the left when you want to face the canopy, and vice versa. If you want to start over your left side like Mike, then you should turn to face your canopy over the right side. Once you're facing the canopy, sort the risers once again. By gently pulling the A risers, the canopy lines can be sorted and the canopy can be pre-filled ready for a rear inflation launch.
Und bin jetzt bereit für den Rückwärtsstart.
The other connection method is to hook in facing the canopy. The risers must be crossed prior to connection. But be careful, this method is highly susceptible for making mistakes. The pilot must be very sure of the turnout side. If the turnout side is to the left, as Mike demonstrates here, then you start with the right hand or lower riser. This must be rotated 180 degrees to the left before connection, so that it faces forwards for flying. Then the left-hand riser is to be connected, again turned through 180 degrees, so that it faces forwards when flying.
Dass, wenn ich mich umdrehe, der Traggurt in die richtige Richtung zeigt.
Careful, here there is a big potential for making a mistake. If the pilot wishes to turn out over the right shoulder, then everything must be connected in reverse. It is important to try and automate the direction to which you turn out to prevent launch accidents, and this requires a lot of practice before it becomes instinctive. The greatest danger is turning to the wrong side, which causes the risers to twist and block the brakes. If you wish to turn out over your left shoulder, then the risers must be rotated 180 degrees to the left before connecting, and the left riser must be on top. If you want to turn out to the right, then the risers must be rotated 180 degrees to the right before connecting, and the right riser must be on top. Launch methods. There are two different methods for launching a canopy. To launch in moderate wind, pilots should first leave the brakes clipped to the riser to prevent them getting tangled or let them hang freely.
Damit sie mehr oder weniger nicht im Weg umgehen.
The canopy should then be brought to an ideal starting position. The pilot should be standing at the midpoint of the canopy with the wind directly from behind. With a measured pull on the A risers, the canopy will begin to climb. In strong winds, the canopy will climb faster. During this phase, the rear risers need to be taken in hand. First the D risers and later the C risers, or for the canopies with only 3 sets of risers, just the rear risers. Brakes are not needed. There is also an alternative method for a controlled rear inflation launch.
Diese Methode beinhaltet
It has, however, the disadvantage of taking the brakes in hand, which makes control on the ground more difficult. Here the canopy is spread out. Brakes are crossed and held in hand while the risers remain parallel.
Und die Traggurten halte ich weiterhin parallel.
When the canopy is launched and the pilot turns out, then the brakes should be held in the correct hands. The disadvantage of holding the brakes in strong winds is that brake control generates a lot of lift in the canopy, which may lead to loss of ground contact before the pilot is ready to launch. The brake method should mainly be used on low wind days. When the wind is stronger, canopy control by using the C and D risers is easier and recommended.
Und die Methode ist hauptsächlich für schwachen Aufwind geeignet. Bei kräftigem Wind ist immer die Methode mit CD-Traggurten zu bevorzugen.
To repeat, the pilot pre-fills the canopy ready to start, checks the C, D risers that they are correct for the desired turnout direction,